Latest Monday edition, Martin and Marlow. You know, full candor. This could have been done on Sunday night, right, Chuck? Are we going behind the curtain completely? Because Sunday night is your Saturday night, correct? So today is your Sunday. A lot of folks on a Sunday are maybe hungover. I'm not saying you are, but so Saturday, the Charlie Saturday night, which is my Sunday night, we put it on hold. What was the drink of choice?
So first of all, I have to say, I think I was hungover on Sunday as well. And that's only because it was my beautiful wife, Jess's birthday on Saturday. So we went out, had a great dinner. Although, you know, I had a few beers, but I felt good. Even had at the end the decaf coffee with little Baileys. So I felt great on Sunday, even though I had a couple beers. But then Sunday night, productive day, did a lot of things around the house.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, I just complimented my wife. Now I'm going to have to criticize her. She went to the store. I did tell her, please get me some beer. She forgot. It's fine. It happens. But because I had no beer, I had to make do with what was around the house. So I did vodka Gatorade last night.
Oh, that sounds healthy, though. It's Gatorade, and you're sweating. It's outside.
Yeah.
And by the way, did she forget to get the beer, or did she choose? Now, let's be honest. She might have said, okay, he doesn't need that.
Well, here's what's funny about that. And I'd like to get your opinion on this too. I can pretty much drink beer, and I don't think I'm that affected by it. Now, there are some times where I drink too much hard alcohol, where hard alcohol will get me, and maybe I'm a little more moody. So I think my wife actually, she prefers that I have beer. Once she saw that I said, okay, with no beer, I'm going to have to go to vodka Gatorade, she was very disappointed and mad at herself that she didn't get the beer.
Okay, because so for her, the beer is the win. Oh, let's be honest. A lot of us, too, the hard liquor, we're just out cold.
Yes.
There is no like, hey, I was going to watch that show with you. It's like, poof, gone, done. Exactly. And then the next day, it's like, I was talking to you and you fell asleep. I'm like, I did? It happens. It happens. Hey, the latest installment of Martin and Marlow. Let's get to it, Chuck. We got a pandemic. We got a baseball season. And now they're intersecting. It's probably Rob Manfred and everyone's sort of worst nightmare is that you're going to have a COVID outbreak. It was probably going to happen at some point. Maybe it's too early, but the latest now, it's the Marlins. They're in double digits in terms of positive tests with players and staff. So they're stuck in Philadelphia. As a result, then the Phillies, we're going to play the Yankees. They call that game off. And it does, and we've talked about this. We don't want to be the panic police and get on. I actually started to make a tweet, make a joke that MLB 2020, you know, the winner will literally be the last team standing. And I'm like, you know, it's not even funny. It's so depressing if this thing goes haywire. But this has got to be their worst nightmare because everybody said, what if you have multiple outbreaks? How long can you shut it down? How long can the Marlins be quarantined without the whole season just going to shit?
Yeah, and I also figured there was going to be an outbreak or two. And I think before the season started, you thought, okay, is that 4 or 5 guys? I'll be the first one to admit I never thought it would be. The latest report I saw, I think it was Jeff Passan, said 11 players and 2 coaches. Whatever it is, it's double digits. It's a lot more than I thought. And that basically decimates a team on the field. And you make jokes about not making jokes. It is ironic that it's the Marlins, the team that seemingly never cares about winning. So health is first and foremost. But when I look at tweets and people are talking about the competitive balance of the league with teams being decimated, I also think to myself, this is the Miami Marlins, right? They don't really even try to win each and every year. But this is a pandemic, and it's players' health, it's staff health and all that. And I don't know. I just think going into this, when NHL and NBA did the bubbles, I think everybody knew the travel was going to be the issue. This is the first weekend of travel. And this is Monday morning quarterback. But you go back, I was looking at the Cardinals schedule. They're traveling for 2-game series. I mean, the NBA and the NHL are isolated, insulated in a bubble. And Major League Baseball is traveling out of state for 2 games at a time. If there was ever a year, you should have just done 5-game series in the division, and you do 4-game series with the AL Central teams, and it wouldn't have been totally fair. but nothing's going to be fair in 2020. I mean, these teams are traveling 10 times, and you're going to travel to play 2 games. That makes no sense.
I thought we had heard that originally, like, hey, they're going to play the Cubs at Wrigley, but it'll be a 5 or 6 game series just one time. They go there twice. And I'm looking at the schedule this week, and it says, Cardinals at Minnesota on Tuesday, Cardinals at Milwaukee Friday, and both say home opener for the Twins, home opener for the Brewers. Like, it's so stupid. It's not really a home opener. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And then, like you said, you're traveling all this way. The bubble stuff seems to be working. How about the NHL, who said last week they concluded – this is before the NHL started their bubble cities. The NHL concluded phase 3. That's what the training camp and the return to play. They said over 4,200 tests were administered to more than 800 players over the past week with 0 positive tests. And that's before they got to the bubble. So, I mean, the NHL is in great shape. The NBA, you're not hearing any outbreaks. You're hearing funny stories about how they're bored or life in the bubble, which is a whole other topic. But I do think baseball may regret that, not doing some hub cities and traveling, like you said. I mean, the more you look at it, it's like, why? So you're going to go all the way to Minnesota for 2 stupid games? I don't know if it's Monday morning quarterback as much as we just didn't look closely at it before and realize the stupidity of it. So I don't know what you do. I guess you shut the Marlins down for a while. Maybe it's like the MLS where certain teams just get sent home. Like, all right, you know what, the Marlins, they're just going to bang the season. And now we've got how many playoff teams? You've got, is it 8 in each league? You have 16 total. We may not have 16 teams left by the end of September. That's possible.
Yeah, there's going to be some guys, too, who didn't think they were going to make their major league debut, who maybe end up a big league baseball player here in the next month or so. And again, it is just when you think about before the season started, who are the teams we always joke about that never care and that are always terrible? And it's always the Orioles and the Marlins. And that's the game that was postponed. I know now Yankees and Phillies as well, but this is a big time problem. That's stating the obvious. And if they continue to have a season, which I think that they will, in a way, I'm not saying there's anything positive about this besides the cases, and I'm not trying to make a joke there. It just came in my head. But the fact that this happened –
I see what you did.
Okay, but it just happened. The fact that this happened the first weekend, the first travel for a lot of these teams, I do think that should scare any player, any staff straight. Now maybe you can't avoid COVID. If you're traveling, maybe there are times you're not going to be able to avoid COVID because it's out there in the air. But I got to think that some of these infections are guys not following the rules. That's just my opinion. That's speculation. We'll probably find things out. But what I'm trying to say is because this happened so early, if we can salvage a season, hopefully this forces everybody to wear a mask the whole time, to stay out of the clubhouse as much as you can, to stay away from guys. If you're not pitching that day, if you're a starter, basically go home. Limit your time at the ballpark. We joked. Remember when that first plan came out, and it was basically guys might have to show up in their uniforms and not shower? We joked about that. Maybe the way for baseball to succeed in 2020 is guys showing up in their uniform, and hey, game's over. You throw your uniform in the laundry room, you get a towel, whatever it is, and you just get in your car and go home and shower at home. I mean, I know it's kind of funny to say that, but maybe that's the way we have baseball, just not spending any time in the clubhouse.
Martin and Marlow, episode 9, brought to you by Triad Bank, neighborhood-friendly bank located in Frontenac. Find them on Clayton Road, just west of Lindbergh. Real easy to get to from Highway 40 in Lindbergh. It's triadbanking.com on the web. St. Louis-based bank since 2005. Also, Marie de Villa Senior Living at the corner of Clayton and Weidman Road. Take that virtual tour now and find out why this is the premier place for folks in their retirement years. Marie de Villa Senior Living. And the Marlow Moments, memories, brought to you by
Marlow Moments. So many great sponsors. Kirkwood Pizzeria, Corner Butcher in Fenton, one of my favorite spots. We grilled a bunch of stuff over the weekend. I like to grill everything at once, and I just put it all in Tupperwares. They have the best hot dogs. I'm telling you, the hot dogs at Corner Butcher are fantastic. I grilled some park steaks that were infused with cheese and mushrooms. We have the cheese-infused burgers. We cooked some fillets the other night. Last night we had the twice-baked potatoes. They have so many great options at the Corner Butcher in Fenton. Of course, also St. Louis Lawn Care, St. Louis Equipment, and then I can never forget Kennelwood Pet Resorts. As I'm looking at my dog Otis right here, he's being very lazy. He's napping. He's being obedient for once. I know he did bite you once, Martin, but all the training at Kennelwood, it's paying off, I'm telling you.
So the Cardinal weekend in the books, they take 2 or 3 from the Pirates. If we can talk baseball without getting back into COVID-19, it was fun for a minute for the focus to all be on pitching and hitting and who's pitching. But you had Jack Flaherty Friday, really good start. Wainwright on Saturday, really good start. Dakota Hudson not as good on Sunday. And you look at the Cardinals lineup, they had 3 homers Friday. I think they're sort of who we thought they were. If they pitch really well, which they should for the most part, they're going to compete. Are they going to hit enough? Are you still wondering about a Matt Carpenter and Harrison Bader? I think there are still the same questions or concerns. You're not going to answer them in 3 games. But I looked at the team over the weekend, and it's the Pirates. You should probably beat up on the Pirates. But I still feel like the Cardinals are exactly who we thought they were. With good starting pitching is probably going to be as far as they go based on that.
Yeah, and when you're watching those games, as you said, the Pirates, they look to be pretty terrible, especially when you start to just look at their roster. You're like, who are these guys? And so many of their name pitchers aren't going to throw it all this year, and Chris Archer and Jamison Tyone. And so I do think the Cardinals should be taking 2 or 3 or sweeping the Pirates most of these series. And that's where, again, I would be shocked if the Cardinals don't make this field of 16, because you're playing the Pirates how many times? You're playing them 10 times? You're playing –
10 division games, right? So 10 times 4 is 40, and then your 20 other games are the AL Central.
Yeah, and then you have all these games against the Royals and the Tigers. So I do think that the Cardinals should be able to beat up on a weak schedule there for at least a third of their schedule. I think the Cardinals are, like last year, a good team, maybe a very good team. Are they an elite World Series contender? I don't know if that's the case. Maybe they are, but I do think they do a lot of things well. You saw starting pitching-wise, Flaherty, Adam Wainwright, even Dakota Hudson. I know it was a tough outing. I still think he's going to give you a great chance to win when he's throwing just power sinkers the whole game and a slider that can strike you out. I know that wasn't a great outing. But the bullpen is a concern for me. Before the season started, with all the injuries and some of the delays because of COVID, with guys like Alex Reyes and Genesis Cabrera, obviously Brebbia out with the Tommy John and Jordan Hicks not playing, and then KK was pretty shaky his first outing. I just think the Cardinals do a lot of things well, though, even saying that. Defensively, they're really good. They're really good running the bases. They throw a lot of guys out there. They make you make mistakes sometimes. Even when Colton Wong is thrown out at home, when you have guys like Colton Wong and Harrison Bader and Tommy Edman, if those 3 guys are in your lineup, that's a third of your lineup that can fly. And I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. I just don't know if they're a World Series team, but I think they're going to be pretty dang good.
How about the Pirates scouting report? If you're on first base, there's a decent chance that Molina is going to throw down there and try and pick you off. I mean, he's only been doing this for 15 years. And Adam Frazier's a guy who's been around. I was surprised to see how do you still get picked off when Molina's the catcher? Because he's going to fire it down there. And the great tweet from the Cardinals, maybe they've used this before, I don't know. But they tweeted, "Yadios." And I'm like, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Is that new? Have we heard "Yadios" before? It sounds like a Joberism. Our producer, Dave Job, loves the puns. I don't think I've heard "Yadios" before.
Well, I know there's shirts that say, "Yadi or mine," like trying to steal on me. Yadi or mine, which I think is pretty good. The fact that Yadi, who's 38, 16 straight opening day starts, and he throws out 2 guys. He had the pickoff. He had to throw out at second base. I mean, there are catchers who can go several games without throwing out 2 guys on the base pass. I mean, the fact that he is still such a weapon, and you're watching that game, if you're watching from home, which most of us are, obviously, maybe some people in media are at the game, but when you're hearing the stats, they're ringing off the stats of how many people even attempt to steal on Yachty. And the fact that his throwout numbers in terms of how many guys he actually throws out aren't very high because nobody runs on him. I mean, that's pretty amazing that here we are. He's almost 2 decades in the big leagues and still nobody runs on him. And when they do, he can like this get 2 outs on the base paths like that.
I was disappointed with no cardboard cutouts. The games that I've seen, everyone that's tried it, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets, I think, and I kind of like the cardboard cutouts. And I think you could have been like really creative with it. And you have like Beetle Bob in one corner and these old TV commercials that you wouldn't know about, but the Mizraenis, the Decent Boys, like just weird kind of St. Louis pop culture. Just put some random pictures there, or even legends. Like, why not a cardboard cutout of Red Shandings or Stan? I mean, I think the cardboard cutouts actually add a little something, not only to the broadcast for sure, people at home and they comment on it, but it just looks so bland without it. I was disappointed they didn't do something.
I think they should. And to quote our guy, Colton Parayko, 100%. 100% I agree with you. Several reasons. First of all, when you watch that Dodgers game the other day on opening night, and that was coming after the Nationals-Yankees game, when you're watching that angle that is most of the broadcast, which is up there from center field where you're seeing the pitcher and the batter, it felt more like normal baseball to see the cardboard cutouts. Even though they're fake, just seeing that empty stadium, it felt weird to me. It felt like an odd spring training, split squad, or exhibition game. So I think the Cardinals, they should reverse that decision. You should have the cardboard cutouts behind home plate because I think it gives the viewer at home a more normal baseball experience. And then, did you see, I think it was Will Smith, the Dodgers. He hit a homer, and he hit it right off the cardboard cutout of this dude. It hit him right in the neck. And they joked about it because the kid who had the cardboard cutout, he tweeted about it. And he said, hey, Will Smith almost decapitated me. And then Will Smith said, hey, sorry, buddy, I'll pay for the new one. I think that would be fun. And don't you think if you're a Cardinal fan, how much would you pay to have your face sitting in left field for a 30-game home schedule? I think a lot of people would do that. You're also trying to generate some money, but you could do it for charity. You could do it for first responders, all the healthcare workers that have been busting their ass during this pandemic. I think you should sell that all throughout the outfield, hell, all throughout the stadium. And there's
I think people would love it, and even like make it available to players. Like Wainwright would probably buy a section for his family and just put their faces. I mean, I just think it'd be kind of creative. It would be creative. It would be kind of gimmicky and weird, but this whole season's gimmicky and weird. I mean, 16 teams making the playoffs is really stupid, except for this year. I'm fine with it. Everything's gimmicky. Why not do some kind of creative stuff? In Oakland, I read this story. They've got the background noise, and I'm fine with all the background noise. I think it adds to it. If you listen on the radio, it makes it, and just having that hum of the crowd. It's not perfect, but it's better than silence. At the Oakland games, in the background, you hear somebody yelling, "Peanuts, scoreboard, get scorecard, get your scorecard." Don't know the players without the scorecard. It's Tom Hanks, and I didn't know that as a kid in Oakland, he sold peanuts at A's games in the 70s. I had no idea. So they had him record some audio. So in the background, you hear, "Get your peanuts here," just part of the overall background noise. Oh, by the way, it's Tom Hanks. Now that's creative.
Yeah, I like stuff like that. This is the season where you can do anything. That's why, to roll it back to what we started with, that's why when I'm reading tweets today about this affects competitive balance in the standings, like, does anybody really care this year about the competitive balance and the standings? Make it as close to fair as possible. The fact that you get into the playoffs with 16 teams, basically everybody who has a pulse is going to get into the playoffs. If your team is even remotely decent this year, you're going to get in the playoffs. So I don't want to hear about competitive balance and standings. That's, again, why they should have just done the schedule differently. Because, again, if this thing's going to succeed, it's going to be the travel has to be extremely safe. And here we are on the first Monday of the season looking back and saying, man, I really wish they would have limited travel. But yes, in 2020 baseball, anything goes. You can do anything you want. Crowd noise, cardboard cutouts, nothing matters this year.
How about some COVID shout-outs? And I should start. Cousin John, by the way, is the one who found that Tom Hanks story for me. So Cousin John on a Ripken-esque streak here being mentioned on the Martin and Marlow podcast. Also, Jim Thomas, recent guest on the Kilcoin Conversation. How about JT, just the ultimate grinder? Years on the Rams beat, ends up with the Blues beat. and he's up in Edmonton quarantine. And basically, I think it was 7 days. They said, you can't leave your hotel room. He said he thought about going to the fitness center, and his wife yelled at him. And said, I wouldn't mind a day or two in the hotel. I got a lot to get caught up on, Chuck. A lot to do, a lot to get to. That's fifth, sixth, seventh day alone in that hotel room. That might be pushing. But God bless JT, who is just a true beat reporter who is all about the details. And we had a fun conversation. If people missed it, they can find that. So first COVID shout out goes to JT, my guy, your guy.
We love JT. Everybody loves JT. He's a great reporter, great writer, but he's also just a nice guy. Everybody loves him. You know, some of these beat writers, some of the old school guys, they're just kind of like hardened, and they're kind of like take themselves too seriously. JT's never been that way, and I think people love him for that. We were discussing this, Cam and I, on the radio a while back when JT was writing those articles, and I'm like, this is the time. If you never got into a TV show, let's say it's Sopranos, never watched it. You got about 90 episodes. Game of Thrones, maybe Breaking Bad. If there's just that show, like I want to watch The Wire. I've heard so many great things about The Wire. I tried starting it once, and I think I need like 80 some episodes, however many it is, and it just seems too daunting to actually start, knowing it'll just take over my life for the next several months. That's the perfect thing to do for JT for the first week or so of the bubble.
No, I was late to the game on The Wire, but my wife and I got into it and then couldn't stop. I think Jess would like it too. I know it sounds kind of bleak, a lot of murder and crime, and there is a lot of that. And there's, it's kind of depressing, some of these areas of Baltimore. But I would definitely, I think you guys should both dig in on that, and you won't be disappointed. Also, COVID shout out. How about Adam Long? He's a Francis Howell grad, finishes second at the 3M Open, and I think it's his third career top 10, or maybe this season top 10. But I love the idea that these guys who are trying to make a name for themselves got to go out and win. And he pockets over $700,000 for the second place finish. He shot 17 under for the weekend. But I was thinking about, what if all sports were like that? Now I realize they have sponsor money and there's other ways for golfers to make money, especially the big names. But what if in baseball or football, you had like a lousy week, no hits, or threw a couple interceptions, like, oh, sorry, no payout this week. You were the 48th best quarterback, so you only get X amount. Can you imagine if other sports were like that, where your pay was totally based on how you performed? I mean, that would be the ultimate in getting what you deserve. It'll never happen, but it's kind of fun to think about.
I think that would be very fair, too. You could set them all with a baseline of money so they wouldn't go home with nothing. But then so much more of their pay would be based on incentives and production. You'd have to worry, or you'd have to work something in there about injuries. But I thought that's what was so cool about the XFL. What were those guys making? Like $50K, whatever it was, whatever that amount was. But they would make an extra, wasn't it like $2,000 if they won the game, whatever the amount was? I can't remember exactly. But you talk to players afterwards, and if these are guys who are grinding and making 40 or 50,000, whatever that amount was, to get an extra 1,500 or 2,000 to win that game, I mean, that really incentivizes winning the games. I know you're trying to win anyway, but I think that was a little extra something that really made every game count for those guys, even though they only played 5.
And then you'll just get an owner. It's like, all right, you and Cam are trying hard. Here's some money. We'll just do better next week. Final COVID shout out. I'm listening to the U2 channel on Sirius XM. And when you were truly more of a producer back in the day, and when I would have a longer form piece, what was I always looking for? What would I always tell the editor? What do I need in a piece?
Are you talking about music-wise?
Yes.
Well, you always say that.
Yes. So I'm listening the other day, and it's a U2 song, but it's clearly like a DJ version. And I don't know if it was The Fly or it was one of those when they were kind of in a techno mode. U2 had a lot of like techno, kind of weird Berlin kind of vibe to it. But this DJ takes the song. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I've never heard it this way. And it says the guy's name, Paul Krakenow or something. So I look it up, and it said, voted twice, DJ of the year. I'm like, how do you get to be DJ of the year? But he took this song, and I'm telling you, I was in the car for a while. It had to have gone on for an hour. Same song, and it was just, and then it would go back to the lyrics. But a lot of that, what do I always want? a little underneath, makes the piece move. I finally found it, Chuck, after all these years. I forgot his name, Paul Krakenow or something. He was, I'll just look up, DJ of the year. There's a distinction. Lives. It exists.
Well, 100%. Anybody who ever makes fun of me because I do like some of the EDM, and I've been to some of these big time DJs who are like just ridiculously famous all over the world. And I'll be the first person to say that if you'd have told me back in the day, oh, going to see a DJ in a big club, that's stupid. They're not even playing the music. And then you go, and there is just this energy that you can't really replicate. I'm telling you, I thought it would be dumb until I went there, and it's pretty freaking awesome. And they also provide energy, which is why the whole da-da-da-da-da, it makes the piece, your TV piece, feel quicker. It picks up the pace. It makes it more energetic, which is why whenever I am working out, I always want EDM music because I feel like it gives me a little boost. Sometimes when you're running out there, it's hot, you're on your last mile, your last half mile. If you get a really good song that you like, it gives you a little extra pep in your step.
All right, I think I found it. Paul Oakenfold, like Oak, E-N Fold. Oakenfold, O-A-K. That's the guy. DJ of the year. He'll give you the if you're looking for it. Hey, make sure you subscribe, whether it's on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Martin and Marlow every Monday here. Sometimes it gets done on a Sunday night. Sometimes it's on a Monday. It kind of depends on whether Jess brings home the beer or not. Let's be honest. That's what it all comes down to. Chuck, have a great week, buddy.
You too, sir.